I'll call the meeting to order. This is an officially sanctioned meeting of the Historic Resources Commission of the City of Albany. And we welcome anyone viewing on YouTube to certainly offer comments if they sign up to do so. If anyone wants to make a comment, please request the speaker's name, that the comments be kept to 3 minutes in duration, and that it be on the topic that's under the purview of the HRC. In attendance this evening, myself, John Myers, the chair, Commissioner Garrity, Commissioner Pinckney, Commissioner Kaplan, Commissioner Hacker, and Commissioner McEnany. I declare we have a quorum, and Aaron Glenn from the Planning Office is representing the Commission and will also be doing the presentation this evening for the one item on our agenda. This is a public meeting, so there will be a decision rendered as a result of the discussions this evening. And the item that we are considering tonight is the National Register nomination for 97 through 101 Central Avenue, known originally as the Selfridge and Langford building. So, Aaron, I'll let you provide the particulars on this application.
So because the City of Albany is a certified local government, National Register nominations before they go to the State Board come to the Commission for consideration and a recommendation of either support of the nomination or comments or whatnot, or a vote of non-support. I then put together a letter that does go to the State Board with our vote and information and any type of comments that the Commission does have. So this evening we have the Selfridge and Langford building, erected in 1911, was designed by prominent Albany architect Charles E. Ogden and built by the Turner Construction Company. The beam and girder system of skeletal reinforced concrete construction was developed by Ernest L. Ransom at the end of the 19th century and further refined in the early 20th century by entrepreneurial designers including the Kahn brothers and the Turner Construction Company. Reinforced concrete buildings offer numerous advantages that led to their rapid adoption, and the construction technique played a profound role in the evolution of the built environment throughout the 20th century. The Selfridge and Langford building is especially distinguished because it was built as a furniture sales and household goods business and was specifically designed to convey the appearance of a fireproof construction while also being stylish and appealing to the customer. The building was originally occupied by the firm of John Selfridge and Edward Langford, whose furniture sales and storage business expanded rapidly in the first decades of the century, triggering the need for a larger building in a more prominent location. The building was located on Central Avenue. On Central Avenue, which was then experiencing a period of commercial growth in Albany. The development of commercial activity along Central Avenue spurred entrepreneurs to construct modern buildings to accommodate their business. To design a building that would meet this need, the owner turned to prominent Albany architect Charles E. Ogden, who is known for his many elegant residential and institutional buildings. However, Ogden had also designed Albany's earliest reinforced concrete building, the American Meter Company, at 911 Broadway, or more locally known as the Nipper Building, in 1906. The American Meter Building was a simple daylight factory in the warehouse district. Turner Construction, which acquired one of Ransom's patents in 1902, built hundreds of warehouses, factories, and commercial buildings with reinforced concrete skeletons over the next few decades, revolutionizing the industrial landscape of American cities. Starting with a few commissions in Brooklyn in 1904, It expanded rapidly throughout the Northeast to become an internationally prominent firm. The Selfridge and Langford building, constructed in 1911, was amongst the first group of buildings the Turners built outside of Brooklyn. It is one of only 7 reinforced concrete buildings in the city of Albany. Of them, it is the second oldest and possibly the only one built by Turner Construction. While Selfridge and Langford ended the sales portion of their business in 1918, the building continued to function as a storage facility well into the second half of the 20th century. The building retains the distinguishing features of its neoclassical facade, including decorative pilasters with Doric capitals, recessed panels under the windows, and a projecting cornice that is probably the most important in conveying integrity, as the strength of the concrete is clear and the intent of creating an obviously fireproof but visually appealing edifice is readily apparent. Although the original tripartite window opening groupings have been replaced by 4 windows per opening, the original opening survived and the alterations to the windows are reversible. The original storefront, 2 simple entrances and 2 windows has been lost, but the defining piers, which are part of the structural system, remain. On the interior, all the octagonal structural columns, a hallmark of Turner construction, survive and are visible. The original rear stair survives and in its original location, and the loading dock is also original. It is either original or has been replaced in kind. The original concrete ceiling is covered by easily removable drop ceiling panels. On some floors, the 3-part division into a central aisle and 2 flanking aisles is evident, and on others, temporary office partitions have obscured it. However, the defining beam and girder structure system does survive and could be easily restored. The former Selfridge and Langford building is undergoing a $9.9 million renovation from vacant office space to 47 apartments with some commercial space on the first floor. The project is using historic tax credits and has an HPCA, the Historic Preservation Certification Application, Part 1 and Part 2 approvals, and an estimated completion of March 2025. The period of significance for the Selfridge and Langford building is 1911 to 1978, beginning with the construction of the building, encompassing its use as a furniture showroom and a warehouse, and ending with its conversion for use as office space by the state of New York. It is locally significant under Criterion C in the area of architecture as a rare, substantially intact, early example, beam and girder reinforced concrete construction in the city of Albany. I can go through. So again, the commission would need to put forward a recommendation that would then be forwarded onto the state review board. And their meeting is on June 11th.
So what's the proposed use?
So they are converting it from a vacant office building to 47 residential units with a commercial space on the first floor.
So the building is vacant now?
Correct.
Because it used to house a place for drug users. There used to be a lot of things happening in that building, right?
That was a state office building.
No, I think you're thinking of Lower Central where the youth
Unemployment
work-
office?
that's lower.
Oh, okay.
I know what,
Okay.
that's
so-
where recreation.
That's the old John B. Hoff.
Yes.
And that
yeah.
particular building is occupied, I believe, at this
Yeah.
time.
Correct.
Okay.
You said the period is significant, it's an individual nomination,
Correct.
there was no discussion of expanding, nothing.
No, and I did need to go back because I know that the central Avenue, National Register District. I don't know if this falls within that. I thought that this fell within those boundaries, but I think that they're just outside.
Really?
But this is just an individual nomination for the structure.
And it said the period of significance is to 1978.
Correct, when it was converted to offices for the state of New York.
That was
Seems like a very broad,
it seems,
period of time.
it does, and the interesting thing to me about the building is all about its construction history. Because it's been it has not its original context. It's been so altered. The exterior, it's got a lot of glazing is an important character defining feature, and it's all been altered. And the interior, relative to the significance, is its structure, right? Those octagonal concrete columns, and it's going to be fully divided to get 47 apartment units. It's just, the whole thing's very interesting, and I would imagine that others have struggled with what to do with the significance and what to do with the part two, and if really what remains on what's interesting about the interior in some ways, to me, it's almost the volume. It's as if you're looking at a church and you understand its volume and its original construction, and that won't be retained by the time 47 apartments go in there. And there's been so many alterations to the exterior. I'm just thinking out loud, it's so interesting dealing with later buildings, and we don't usually deal with buildings where the construction technology is called out as being its primary significance.
It's kind of the significance and the history of Turner Construction as a firm.
That was really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how they expanded this business worldwide and built the empire that they became.
Yeah.
And that's the Turner construction
Yeah.
of today. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they still survived.
Yeah.
Had their start, I guess, in New York City.
New York City.
This was one of the,
And there's only 6 of this poured concrete,
There are 7, this is one of 7
one of 7.
in the city of
In the
Albany.
city.
Not all constructed by Turner. They think that this is the only one that was constructed by Turner outside of within the area.
Is the central warehouse also one of the lucky 7?
it is one of them that's mentioned.
I
Yeah.
would think so.
Central warehouse is a little different structurally. This is a column and beam and girder construction, where Central Warehouse had flat slabs and, mushroom capitals on
Yes.
the columns, which was a further advance in reinforced concrete construction.
Yeah, it's
That was kind
new.
of the next phase of reinforced concrete construction, because that exhibited fewer restrictions in terms of beam depth and structural depth obstructions by the frame itself. So, and it's an interesting history write-up, I think. I like the tripartite window rhythm in the building. Makes a lot more sense than dividing them into 4. It just doesn't feel comfortable the way it is. And I wonder if narrowing the period of significance to closer to its original construction and the basic structure of the building and how it appeared originally. Was there I didn't see any photographic evidence of a showroom, because there used to be a retail sales
Right.
operation.
When I spoke with Derek King, who's from Preservation Studios in Buffalo, he said that any of the photos that were included within the draft nomination were the only photographic documents that they were able to find of the structure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That it was very limited, and that was all that they were able to acquire while doing research.
So the upper floors were basically warehouse,
And
open,
storage, yeah.
open warehouse spaces, possibly.
Yeah,
Storage, yeah.
bulk storage for furniture.
Like a
Deliver
lot,
to
like a lot
whoever.
of the other projects we've seen, like the Cohoes. Maryland, you remember the one in Cohoes that I think the State Historic Preservation Office, there's a big factory building, a warehouse in Cohoes. It was one of the very early.
Mills?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was all open and now it's residential,
Right,
infill.
right, yeah.
A lot of them. The one down on Broadway.
Yeah.
Near the Stewart's, across the street from Stewart's. That's another one. Harmony Mills? Harmony
yeah.
Mills, yeah, that was it. So we have
It's-
lots of examples of warehouse spaces that have been converted into residential. You know?
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a whole evolution because back then, right, 30, 40 years ago, it would have been the monumental interior spaces that we would have considered significant, right? The churches or
Mhm.
a monumental stair, and then the other stuff doesn't really matter. So much has evolved in terms of preservation philosophy that you even look at something like this, where the whole nomination is about the construction technology, and that's not part of the concept of the project, so how, again, we're not doing the part one, part two, and, you know, I mean, we're supportive that they're doing the building, it's just a very interesting challenge. Even the whole cornice treatment is really different. Look at the picture right there, yeah, that. Yeah, so, well, we're glad they're doing the project, and it's,
And that's something that can be reestablished, that little piece of the corners, because I'm quite sure they'll do, I would hope they would reconstruct the window, the 3-window pattern in the bays. I would hope.
we don't know what the
Yeah.
basis of the part one and the part two are. Part one is the existing conditions, right?
Right, yeah, and I'm not sure, I mean, I guess we did review a project, the conversion for this as part of their, is it a conditional use permit? They do have to go before the planning board for the conversion, but, I
So
mean,
they show proposed elevations.
we should have proposed elevations, it did get approved already, I mean, this was over a year ago, I believe.
Shouldn't we have seen it too?
No, because
It wasn't-
it's not locally designated.
Oh, right, okay,
Superior,
okay.
but I mean, it is kind of interesting, I mean, they do reference within the report that a number of the current alterations that have been done to the building are reversible. Now, whether or not they are planning on making those alterations to put back material or put back more appropriate
I
material.
mean, why don't we say that then about every vinyl window that goes in? Well, it's reversible. Anyway, it's an interesting challenge. I'm glad that we're not really the ones making the call on the eligibility, because there's a lot of discussion interesting around it, but someone else is proposing it. There's been stamps of approval in terms of part one, part two, so I'll propose that we proceed and support the nomination.
A second. Well, one of us will second.
I second it. I think it can only give Central Avenue maybe a boost in a different way, as an historic adaptive reuse
Yeah,
of what
it's all good.
remains.
Right, which it needs probably.
I wonder if they're putting parking underneath on the basement level off Sherman Street.
It's a fireproof building, now they're a possibility. Well, also mentions that there's some retail on the ground level.
Yes,
Okay. So, yeah, the opportunity to establish storefront, different exposure to the street, to add the street life is
Yeah.
certainly, encouraged. We're not gonna see this though,
Right.
it's not gonna
no,
come to the
this won't come
HRC.
for the HRC for review. Yeah.
Now, those openings on that facade, I wonder what window or window light configuration, not unless they were all steel windows, multi-light steel,
The side
Sash.
elevation or the rear?
the side, those large openings. wonder how that was historically.
Well, if you go back to the
Well, I
Sanborn
wonder
maps,
if
it was
it's-
sandwiched in there.
Or if it was
There was
similar to this
A
front
lower
elevation.
building next to it.
I know, you think it would have to be the way it looks here.
I would guess that those side windows were probably steel sash.
Natural light coming in on the west side.
The library, the Albany Institute would have more photographs.
They're good researchers.
Yeah.
They're good, they did a good
No, it was well written.
I would imagine they,
They checked.
yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
And that's from 1911, that
It was
photograph?
during construction,
No,
August
yes,
of 1911.
1911.
So they lost that time.
Published in Cement magazine. There's a bias
You
right
must have
there.
missed that issue.
Yeah, you have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on that one side, the
Yeah.
buildings are held away from it, so these are likely original openings.
I think steel sash. Motel like steel sash, which is pretty typical.
That's what,
On the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the side,
Yeah, side and the rear elevation.
yeah.
The front, they look proportionately, they look like they're wood or some built up
Yeah.
element. They're, you can see the frame on the upper floors, but then they've trimmed them out on the lower floor.
could you go to the one that shows the other photo that's completed?
This one.
Yeah, I bet they were beautiful big center pivot windows.
Probably.
Yeah, one of my favorites. All right, so
Well, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further comment, or do we wanna bring this to a vote?
We didn't have anyone signed up for comments, so.
Will we see this when it actually comes to, once the building is placed on the National Register and they do their part two, we will be able to make comment, I hope.
No, this isn't locally designated. So this is just on the this will just be on the National Register and it does not fall under the purview of the HRC.
Okay.
Only locally designated properties.
So they can just remove all the windows and put in little residential style windows in those openings.
I
They
mean,
can really screw it up.
it would still have to come to
It
the
still has to go
planning
through.
department to make sure that it does comply with any of the.
And if they wanna get
Well,
tax
if they wanna
credits.
get tax
Right.
credits.
Oh, yeah,
doesn't have to go
right,
through
right, the state
preservation.
won't
It
allow
does,
it.
yeah, so.
Okay.
You know, what's interesting, it's actually a very handsome building,
Yes, it is.
but if you take even one of the other previous shots, what an unattractive doorways are, the whole street level of it is,
oh, that one photo we just saw, with
Yeah,
those
it's
three
pretty.
punched
Yeah,
over,
the-
not,
yeah,
Two doorways.
yeah,
and
not this one, the,
yeah.
not one more.
There's another one.
Yeah.
That one,
I mean,
yeah.
that is not attractive. And it's interesting, you would have thought that they would have put shop windows, show windows,
Yeah.
if they had cars.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that?
Advertisement.
Yeah, the advertisement. Cause all those, that's glazing down at the first floor level. Probably some type of, it's not an awning. But there was more glass.
Well, I believe it did have an awning. I'll have to go back and look.
It'll be a good shot in the arm for the neighborhood.
Vote.
Alright, I'll call it for a vote. All those in favor of the application to put this forward for nomination?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is unanimously carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, anytime. We're here to please.
Is there any further business to come before the HRC this evening?
Nothing Nothing for review or consideration. We do have our new preservation planner starting on Monday, Christopher Lohman. He's gonna be joining us from Tallahassee, Florida.
He's coming in May, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just, lull him into a false sense of
Very pleasant weather.
weather, yes. So he will be joining us, on Monday, and he eventually will probably be taking over for the Historic Resource Commission portion of the planning position. But at some point, we will probably schedule something kind of more informal for you all to be able to kind of get to meet him and get to know him, and rather than just having him be at these type of meetings.
What's his background? Is he a bachelor's or master's or?
So he has a bachelor's and a master's in history. He is actually graduating this
Right.
weekend with his master's. But he does have a background in preservation. He has been working for the Tallahassee Preservation Trust.
Oh,
He does a lot of he attends architectural review boards and does do some crossover like assistance with walking the public through what that kind of process is. He does review some of their plans and does provide comments and things like that. So he does have like a local preservation background and experience.
Does he have any architecture background?
No.
Just
Just
preservation.
history.
So, but he seems very enthusiastic to be coming to Albany, very excited about being here and the job, so I'm excited for him to be joining us on Monday. Yeah, I mean, I think there will be kind of a transition period of getting here, getting used to what our process is and the code and all of that, so.
I noticed on the internet, it's not on it'll probably be in the paper tomorrow, that the county executive would love to set up a board to take over the entire St. Rose campus and then divide it up appropriately. And that should put this board in a position, this commission, into looking to what's going to happen with all that property. There's a lot of Pine Hills. It's not registered anyway, and yet certainly is eligible.
Yes, so we do have, we did receive a certified local government grant, and we will be putting out an RFP, probably this summer, but we did receive funds to do a reconnaissance level, survey of Pine Hills. So we will be doing that, it'll be 2024 through 2025.
I would hope that we would concentrate on the St. Rose campus
Well,
first.
it'll be it'll depend on the consultant's plan, but I mean, it is included within the boundaries of that area, so.
the
But we
whole
can-
campus?
The whole, yes, the
I
whole
would think
campus
so.
is within the Pine Hills,
Yeah.
what we've defined for the Pine Hills area now.
Yeah,
With the reconnaissance level, it will come out with
Yeah.
hopefully different
I just,
recommendations.
I hope it's not a huge Pine Hills definition has always been huge. And I hope that we get phase one, we can look at right away instead of waiting for something to come out in a year and a half.
So I guess where you're going, you're way ahead of us, well, you're way ahead of me, I guess where you're going is how important the St. Rose campus is to the city, and
Yeah.
therefore one hopes that the information,
Yeah.
rather than how they construct their survey and sequence their survey, that it starts there because it's so critical
Yeah.
to the city. What happens to some of the residences 3 blocks away? There's nothing threatening there, they're just doing what they're doing
Right.
and will stay.
In North Pine Avenue where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's great, but it can wait, St. Rose can't wait.
Right. That's a good recommendation. Yeah. Is so there was that College University, Toro?
Truro.
Toro, is that still an active
According
conversation?
to what I read online, is that would be one of the things under consideration. They don't need all the buildings there. I mean, I would say they never should have had Partridge Street, for example,
Yeah.
or the 6 adjoining two-family homes on Western Avenue, or the ones across,
Hindsight.
you know,
I know.
it's and it, for what is apparently the mortgages are all on the modern buildings, not on the 100-year-old buildings.
Well, they had a pretty aggressive building campaign for the last 30 years.
Yep.
And overwhelmed their finances.
Mhm. It's funny, my kids are the age that it feels like I was,
We might want to adjourn.
adjourned.
Adjourn.
Well, is there anything else that anyone,
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,